So today, as requested, I am back with another video alongside JackFrags. Now, if you would like to see more videos like this, don't forget to tell me in the comment section below. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. I do have some pretty cool giveaways coming up very soon for all my subscribers. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. So the Battlefield 4 ball is really starting to roll now. We've already got 2 DLCs out. We have a third on the way, of course. Naval Strike is out in just less than 2 weeks now on the 18th of March. And of course, Second Assault itself has only been out on PC for just over 2 weeks now. So starting off with Second Assault, how has that lived up for you? Is that all you expected it to be, or has it been a little bit of a disappointment? I know you have been playing it already on the Xbox One. Has that ruined the excitement for playing it on PC a little bit?
Well, I think playing it on the Xbox One has removed a little of the excitement for me, you know, because obviously I knew the maps quite well, like the ins and outs, the Levolution, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had a good chance to play it on Xbox One and just explore them. So some of the excitement certainly had died down. I mean, it wasn't till a couple of days ago I actually played the PC version, because I was away all last week.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I mean, it's cool, and I think some fans of BF3 will definitely love being able to get on those maps again. You know, especially, even though I'm not a big fan of it, Metro, I know a lot of people, for some reason, do enjoy 64-player Metro.
I am guilty of that myself, yeah.
You know, some people love it, some people hate it. It's a bit like Marmite, isn't it, that level?
Yeah, definitely.
Caspian Border, I think, I think Caspian Border was the best BF3 map. And the changes that they've made to it in BF4 have probably improved it even further. I really like the addition of the wall, and I think it centers the action a lot more around those those 3 middle points. Unfortunately, no one really goes to the A point anymore, where the antenna used to be.
Yeah, it's very out of the way that now, doesn't it? It does feel a little bit kind of pushed to one side, that flag point.
It's just like the US team cap it, and that's it. It's just that for the rest of the round.
It's like a given. It's like, yeah, it's a freebie, that flag. They cap it, and then the Russians they never challenge it. It's just kept then.
We'll let them have that flag. It's no problem. I love the way the map's condensed in the middle now, and the wall is cool. The tower falling down, it pretty much happens every game now. You know, you can guarantee that tower's gone by the end of the match.
Yeah, exactly. Very quickly.
And the fireball effect that happens in that little tunnel under the ground is really cool.
Yeah.
Operation Firestorm, I think, I think some of the remakes are a bit lazy. Firestorm in particular, I thought, maybe they could have done something with the pipeline exploding all the way, or falling down, or the big tower. You can take the crane down, but I mean, you've just got lots of little explosives in there. The gameplay feels exactly the same as BF3, to be honest.
Yeah.
For Firestorm.
Firestorm, it felt like, for me, that felt like the map that had very little change. It just seemed to now live up to its name. Like you said, the old version of Firestorm had very little fire involved. Now, there is a lot of these kind of fires you can start, which are a cool aspect to the game, but it doesn't feel like a Levolutionary event. Like the whole idea of Levolution originally was to evolve the map, change the way the map plays, which I think does work for something like Gulf of Oman. It changes how close you are to each other. You got to, the combat kind of slows down. You got to, you've got smaller lines of sight. So that is a kind of a proper Levolution. But those fires on Firestorm, sometimes it's a bit of a fad. You might get 1 or 2 really funky kills setting them off, but it's not going to evolve the way the map plays out as such. So
no, and I don't think Firestorm was a particularly good map in BF3. I mean, it certainly wasn't a fan favourite, because if I recall correctly, they had a vote, didn't they, at some point?
Yeah, apparently there was a vote, but I don't know how this vote system worked myself, because like you said, I never saw Firestorm as a very popular map. I mean, I always thought, I don't know about you, my 4 would have definitely been Sen Crossing, Grand Bazaar, Operation Metro personally, and probably Davidan Peak would have been my 4. I don't know what your take on those would have been.
I think Damavand, if they'd have looked at improving the Conquest version, would have been a good choice, because obviously that map you can tell straight away that's been made with rush in mind, and it worked excellent as a rush map, but
yeah, definitely.
it was a terrible conquest map. So maybe if they'd have got Damavand in and really looked at the conquest version of it,
yeah,
you know, maybe because conquest version of that map on PC and BF3, you didn't have the base jump at all, right? It was just the 3 flags on the ground in the tunnel system, and it was just a bit pants. So maybe they could have incorporated the base jump there. But Grand Bazaar, I really liked. I think that was an excellent infantry map. I know there were vehicles on it as well, you know, LAVs and tanks, whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked the fact that there were no helicopters, and the infantry could really just fight it out around the B point and
around the alleyways. Yeah,
that was so much fun. Even with 64 players, I think that was one of the only maps I really enjoyed with 64 players on BF3.
I think as well, I spoke about this not long ago actually, it worked well because it was balanced, the fact that there could be tanks and there could be LAVs, but because it was designed well, you had these areas like the alleyway, which you could get a jeep down there if you really persisted, but it was an area which was very centralised for infantry combat, and you might get killed by a tank round getting well precision, you know, flung down the alleyway, but that was an area for infantry. And then you had these wide streets left and right which were really good flanking routes, but it was a risk that you might end up, you know, being spotted by a vehicle, and that was, it worked in harmony. You had these areas for vehicles, these areas for infantry, and you know, it worked side by side, and if you were an infantry player, you hardly got killed by a vehicle, and if you were in a vehicle, you would be too busy fighting other vehicles than to just pester infantry, and it did work well, you know, for that kind of, and like I said, it flowed. I mean, Rush sometimes, it could have been better if they just fixed that first MCOM, spawn point where the Americans would get pushed back because the Russians could get so close to their spawn, which was a shame because it would have only taken one little patch to maybe put the boundary maybe 100 metres further back, and that would have been resolved, and it never was, which is a real shame because it was a good rush map if you were lucky enough to join a game which the first MCOM hadn't been spawn blocked.
Yeah,
but Grand Bazaar was probably my favourite map in Battlefield 3. And like I said, Davadam Peak was great for rush. It was obviously very linear because you could only go down the cliff face once and not back up. But if a very easy system was organised, that maybe there was a way that, you know, there might be kind of lifts, I know it sounds ridiculous, lifts on a cliff, but some way of getting back up, so it could be used, the entire map could be used for conquest rather than just one half, because obviously that's the problem with that map. The cliff splits the map in half. You can either play conquest at the top of the cliff or the bottom, but not in between, because once you've jumped down, there's no real way of getting back to the top again.
Yeah, unless you've got a vehicle, of course, like a helicopter. But
yeah. And then if it's all reliant on helicopters, you know there's going to be an anti-aircraft vehicle just sat on the edge, just nailing anybody who flies over that cliff face. So,
and I mean, apart from that, of course, there's there's Gulf for Man, which is the last map in the DLC.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the layout of that map, from what I can tell, is almost exactly the same. They've added a few like scaffolds and stuff, but you know, again, that and there's the bit with the beach. They've added some. It's a bit like Omaha Beach. You know, they've got like carcasses of tanks and boats there and tank traps, and you can attack the beach. But for the most part, it's basically the same map as BF3, of course, apart from the sandstorm.
Yeah.
And you know, that does drastically change the level, but I don't really think it enhances the gameplay that much. I mean, I know it stops people sniping, so you know, and like visibility for helicopters is really reduced, and sometimes you'll just fly into a jet, it'll come out of nowhere, you know, which can be cool, but for the most part, I don't think that really affects the gameplay that much. And I think the sandstorm comes in far too quickly as well.
Yeah, it comes in, it's almost like you don't get a chance to appreciate the standard version of the map, because
just the core gameplay of it,
because the sandstorm's there. I mean, I join probably 60% of the games I join, the sandstorm's already come into effect, and because it comes in so early, you don't appreciate either bit then, because it's either all sandstorm or all it's all sandstorm most of the time, so you're not getting that appreciation of both sides of it. And sometimes I think it'd be cool with these Levolutions. Even I thought this about the storm on Paracel Storm as well. If it was cool if it didn't always happen, because it's that guaranteed 5 minutes in we're going to get a sandstorm or we're going to get a storm kickoff, which takes away the excitement. I sometimes think if maybe it was random, like some games you join it would be there, some games you join it might not happen, which would make it more interesting than it's a guarantee that you're going to see a sandstorm if you join Gulf of Oman. But that map, I've always, a lot of my subscribers will know, I've ranted about this a lot of times, that sometimes it annoys me that map was brought back because it's not actually a Battlefield 3 map as well. That's another aspect. It is a Battlefield 2 map that we've now brought, we've had it brought back once and now, a second time. Yeah. So it annoys me that got a third chance to be used when there's good maps like Grand Bazaar that they've never had a second opportunity. So that was a shame. But,
no, it is.
But overall, I mean, graphically it does look I like Metro, and I think I mean, the new flanking route does work. I'm still confused as to how the flanking route works. Some Conquest games I join, it's blocked and you can't get through it, and some games it's not. So I don't really know what decides if that route's open or closed at the moment. I can't really figure that out. But
I think my understanding is it just depends on whether you're playing Conquest Small or Conquest Large.
Is that the only,
if it's Conquest Large, like all the flanking routes are open. If it's the small version, then it's got like a barricade there, hasn't it? Like there's some debris there or something.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people have said this, and I couldn't agree more. Like with Metro, they totally should have opened up the street level, like above the station, and had that gone all the way through. Because I think even with those extra flanking routes in, I just don't feel like they really help that much. I think it's still a massive.
They don't justify like a whole new version of the game, of the map.
It's just such a choke point at that B point, because the flanking routes that they've added, you've got the one on the left when you're in the tube, in the tunnels, and that takes you up to where the MCOM is, right, in Rush.
Yeah.
Instead, why can't that take you out to the street level?
Straight through, all the way through.
So you can just do like a mega flank. Whereas now, the two flanking routes they've put in, you sort of still end up in the same place anyway. And what's the point of the elevators? The
elevators are good for one purpose, and it's one of those moments that only happens in a game for maybe 20 seconds, where you're at the bottom of the stairs and they're at the top and they're facing down the stairs, and you'll have maybe a 30-second window which you can get up the elevator and maybe back rage about 5 guys before you get grenaded, because there are people who will just hear that lift ding and they'll just lash grenades in there, and you're going to be dead very quickly. So the elevators, they've got a short window of usefulness, and like you said, it's frustrating, that flanking route, because the two doors, because obviously you come out into the ticket hall and you go back through another door. They're very close, but crossing that small gap to try and get flanked completely outside is a dangerous like gauntlet.
And there's always some support guy who only plays support. He only plays M249 bipod, and he's prone, and he's watching that door, and he doesn't move.
Yeah, he's there from the first ticket to the last ticket. He's just sitting there. Maybe he might spot 1 or 2 guys. He might drop some ammo, maybe, if he runs out himself. But
if you're lucky, he'll drop some ammo.
that is it. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And also, like you said, the idea of the road above, I mean, the very first time I saw the trailer for the Metro, and it showcased the ceiling collapsing, I had in my mind the idea of when we first saw the showcase of Shanghai, when they C4'd the pillar and the tank fell through, and I thought this is going to be the same thing. The ceiling will collapse, and from the street level you can then jump down and go, from this new street you'll jump down through these new holes in the ceiling, and that's a way of, rushing through and, getting behind the enemy and flanking by coming through the ceiling. But
that would have been so cool as well.
Exactly, yeah. But it does seem that slightly, that idea was slightly lost. That's what I mean. Second Assault, it had so much, it could have been amazing, and it is good, but there's so many things that you do think, it would have been awesome if they added that. I mean, maybe it wasn't logistically possible with the time they had,
but it was done by a different studio. Like DICE didn't make it, and
was it the LA DICE?
Yeah, it was LA DICE. DICE did China Rising, and they're doing Naval as well, but the LA studio, I guess they sort of went, well, it's an easy job. They're not going to mess it up. We'll give them the remakes,
Yeah, you can we'll give them the models and just let them fiddle with that a little bit. Not too much work to do. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't, how, the Xbox One version of the maps are, from what I can tell, exactly the same as the PC ones. And in that time, they could have taken some of the feedback that they got from the Xbox One players and maybe changed the maps. I mean, you can still do that bug where you get up into the ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's been in the game since BF3.
Yeah, since the first. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So come on, like that sort of stuff really should have been looked at.
Yeah.
And like the Levolution on Metro, with the ceilings falling in, because you can't get to the street level. I mean, like, I never see anyone get killed by it, and I've never been killed by it either. Either your teammates just shoot their supports at the start of the round, and the rocks fall down.
Yeah.
Or they just get knocked over by a random explosion and don't kill anyone.
Exactly. I mean, you'd have to be. The problem with them is they're so blatantly obvious that I know myself. I shoot them down straight away as a kind of temporary precaution, because I know if I'm going to now try and hold the staircase for a minute, I don't want someone from below shooting it and making me look like an idiot and killing me. So anyone with a slight bit of brain power goes, yeah, as you're running past, you just shoot them, get rid of that. Now it's safe. So I think actually I've killed one person with it, and it was very early on in the round because they hadn't had a chance to crush it yet, on the red stairs on the left coming up to the ticket hall.
Yeah.
But that's it, and it is going to be a rarity because, again, you'd have to be very kind of unaware to stand around underneath those and not think I should probably back off and shoot these down myself before somebody does it to me. So well, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you did enjoy this video. As I said, if you would like to see some more videos alongside JackFrags, don't forget to tell me in the comment section below. And of course, as always, all of your likes do massively help me out, and they are really appreciated. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.